going to apologize in advance because this is definitely going to go over time. But I'm a big believer in telling stories and sort of sharing raw experiences that are going to sort of put me in a bit of a vulnerable position. But I'm willing to put myself on the line over here so that you guys can take away a few key points, which I believe to be our recipe for getting things done. Okay, so a few weeks ago, we got a call from a gentleman that had heard a lot about us. He runs a wonderful educational institution, and he was in the area. We get a call. He says, "Oh, you're Voltera. I've heard so much about you. I've been dying to see your tool in action." And so I'm like, "Well, fantastic. We do demonstrations all the time." So, me and my colleague Anna, we, it's Saturday, we get ready, we're going to Toronto, we were going to meet him in front of Ryerson University, and it was a rainy day, and I remember we were kind of approaching him, and we're kind of wet, and we've got this big clunky box that says Voltera on it with a demo machine, and as we were approaching him, we were kind of met with this reaction, It was subtle, but it was there. It was definitely there. And so, we go inside, we perform the demo, everything went fantastic, he loved the technology, and at the end, he asks, I forgot to click it, at the end of it, he asks, he says, "I have to be completely honest with you, I'm actually quite shocked. I thought that you guys were some huge company, that you were a 500-person corporation, aren't you?" And this is where my imposter syndrome starts to kick in. I don't know if anybody else here is familiar with that term, imposter syndrome. Okay, we got one. So essentially the feeling that you must have committed fraud to get to where you are, and like you could be exposed at any point in time, Anyways, I'm a true sufferer of imposter syndrome, so I'm there like, "Congratulations is up, we've been discovered, initiate the emergency escape plan." And as they're like, "What's going on? I swear she's not usually like this, but it's something that we get that sort of reaction all the time. We thought that you guys were a lot bigger than you actually are, so what is it that they're exactly seeing about us? Well, we're Voltera. We've created the Voltera V1, which was a technology that was really game-changing for our industry. It's a printer that allows you to rapidly prototype electronics directly from your desktop, allowing hardware developers to move faster than ever before, and drastically increasing the speed of the hardware development cycle. So the ability that this technology has to accelerate innovation has really been recognized on a global stage. This is the part where I brag a little bit for credibility, right? So Popular Science, Top Invention of the Year, Kickstarter, Most Innovative Projects of All Time, the first Canadian company to win the James Dyson Award. So from where I'm standing, I can see how, things are looking big right now. Once we launched the product, we've shipped over 1,000 units to over 60 countries in a very small amount of time. And this is a fraction of some of our clients. So some pretty big players up there. We got Apple, Volkswagen, Facebook, NASA. Apparently we've got printers going into space. So I can see, kind of reflecting on all this, how we seem to be, bigger than we are. But here's what they don't know. They don't know that Voltera is actually just a startup, a 10-person startup, and that we completely assemble, test, and calibrate every single unit that we ship out the door from our in-house facility just down the street. They don't know that. I know that. And so, in an attempt to sort of rid myself of my imposter syndrome, I've attempted to nail down a few key points, 4 points that I believe were critical for us getting things done and how we were able to do that. So number 1, move fast. Yeah, that's the obvious one, right? No, but really, when you're a small business with a very, very limited runway, agility is really the only advantage you have over major players. So be sure to use this. During our development phase, this is basically the evolution of our product throughout the course of a year. And there were several, prototypes that actually came between that had like mayonnaise in them, and anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, early on when we were developing our product, we found that our development was completely stunted by essentially waiting on hardware parts to get turned over from China. So we're waiting, we're getting parts to come in, we're prototyping, and then we have to do another iteration, so we have to send design files back to China, and again. So what did we do? We moved to China. To Shenzhen, the electronics capital of the world. It's actually very impressive. 95% of the world's electronics come off of the ports of Shenzhen. And what's really, really beautiful about it is that they have this infrastructure in place to be able to build physical products and iterate on them faster than anywhere else. And so we actually lived there for 6 months until we came back with an industrial design and a launch-ready product. So I hope it's an example of just do whatever it takes, just don't lose your agility. Number 2, get dirty. Okay, so obviously I'm not talking about 90s Christina Aguilera dirty, we keep it classy, people, 80s Madonna. The thing is, people seem to think that entrepreneurship looks like this, all you need is your lucky pen, accurate, if you're in the 0.5th percentile, and look great at a size 0. But for the rest of us, it looks a little bit more like this. You're by yourself in China, potentially crying. You haven't washed your hair in 2 days, and you found that shirt behind a dirty radiator in a workshop. The weird part is I actually took that shirt back with me and still wear it all the time. But this is the reality of it. Earlier on, when we were developing our product, and before we had access to proper laboratory facilities, we were doing our chemistry experiments out of a handicapped washroom. And we'd be in there for hours sometimes. And to this day, that bathroom still looks like a murder scene because of the ferric chloride spill of 2014. But the point of the story is, and it was a lesson that actually my parents taught me really early on when we first moved to Canada, was never be too proud to do a job. You're never above doing any sort of work. Just do whatever you need to do to get things done, even if it means getting your hands dirty sometimes, or a lot of the time. So 3, add pressure. So this is a picture of my co-founders, Jesus and Alroy, at the Hardware Battlefield TechCrunch competition in Las Vegas when we were pitching to 50 Cent, obviously. Anyway, it was a weird one, but they're accepting the grand prize, and I even love this picture because even they kind of have that look between each other of, we fooled them all, But it was shortly after this that we made a game-changing decision that was critical for our business. We decided we were done with chasing money. We were sick of going to San Francisco and trying to convince investors to put money on our ideas. We said, hey, here's another idea, a great idea. Let's just sustain ourselves off of our own non-existent sales. Right, the big question, right? Do you raise or do you sell? Well, we chose to try and learn to sell. And it was the best decision that we've ever made. Primarily because suddenly the pressure was on, right? The clock was ticking, We were basically, in a position where we either had to sell this product or we were dead. There was no longer a cushion of cash to just fall back on. And what did that do? It forced us to learn things and do things that we had no idea how to do before, right? We were engineers, we weren't salespeople. And we don't know how to sell things. That requires talking to people, out there, people, And also being faced with those critical questions, right? Who is your target demographic? How are you going to reach them? How are we going to get them to put $3,500 minimum on a tool that they've never even heard about before? How are we going to do these things? Well, given the sense of urgency, we learned how to do these things. And once we learned how to do those things, we learned how to sell smarter. We're establishing partnerships all over the world, getting people to sell for us, representing us on our behalf in different countries while we're sleeping. Our Korean partners are currently developing a curriculum around the V1 to be sold to hundreds of technical schools in Korea. So basically, whatever the source of pressure may be, whether it's financial or just keeping your parents proud, I don't know, just be sure that it's there, because you'd be surprised at what you can do when basically you're not given another option. Right, so that question again. Well, no, Voltera is not a 400-person company. We're a 10-person company, and we're not frauds. We're not imposters. We don't have some secret underground facility in Siberia that's pumping out V1s. The fact of the matter is that we're just a kick-ass team, and what I'm realizing is that it's okay to own that. And so, finally, whatever your challenges, may be, I just encourage you to learn lots, get things done, and finally just own it all. Thank you.
All right, so any questions?
Quiet crowd tonight. Yeah.
You're right here.
For that,
Feels
for
weird
their
doing
sake.
this. Have you guys raised at all prior to that decision to not raise, period? Had you done a round and then decided we're not doing another one, or it was just straight up, we're not doing it, we're just going sales?
We launched a Kickstarter.
Right,
So
okay.
we did crowdfunding, and we got, for that down payment, because you can imagine, right, the R&D costs were off the charts in order to develop the product in the first place.
Yeah.
Grants, actually. There's a lot of free money out there, people, especially in Canada. They throw money at innovation and entrepreneurship, and you really just have to apply. I don't know why people are always running off to San Francisco, and you got to give equity for that shit, but this is a totally free option. You just have to get it, yeah.
Gotta give equity for that shit.
Yeah, someone tweet that.
I'm on it.
Hey, I'm over here. So how can you hire the other 7 or 8 people to help you to move fast, to own it all, and all those great things?
How can you hire them?
Yes.
You really, really convince them that you're the best team ever. It's kind of funny because we're doing a big round of hiring right now, actually. And yeah, we need a lot of good talent, qualified people that are often very, very expensive. But especially, earlier on, people can sort of devalue what it means to sort of be part of something small and being able to contribute something. That's the beauty of working in a startup or a small team, is that you're not just, one person in this giant bureaucratic ladder, You really have the ability to bring something to the table. And so really sell them on that.
All right, other questions? You're making me work for this. Thanks for reading me.
Yeah, halfway, right? My question for you is related to, you said you're a 10% team, but I just thought you were a 400% team. What were the decisions, or how did you decide what size of a team you wanted to be?
It's not really a decision. I mean, we're going into the direction of you hire people as you need them, right? And so, we're a 10-person team at the moment. We've realized that in the new year, in order to accomplish a bunch of the things that we want to, we're going to have to hire 5 to 6 new people minimum. And so I would just say don't overhire. Because I've seen actually a lot of companies be in this situation where they really overhire and they're hiring a bunch and they got all these plans and suddenly they realize that they've got way too many people with not concrete projects and they're really not sure what to do. And people are the most expensive part of a company. So just hire as you need it.
Cool. What's the plan for V2?
That's my dirty little secret that I can't give to you right now, but follow our Twitter feed.
I thought you were kidding me or not. All right, well, thank you very much, Katarina.